Well, I'm sure we've all seen this clip by now. And if you haven't, well, you can thank me later. But this is Bobby Liebling, and he is the lead vocalist for a band called Pentagram, which is considered to be one of the original doom metal bands with their origins dating back to the 70s. Now, I'm not here to give you a history lesson over their long career. After all, this is a 5-minute review of their newest album, not Rock History 101. But the footnotes are that Pentagram are considered one of the OG bands that really formed the doom metal scene, and they are considered to be one of the big four of the genre alongside Candlemass, Saint Vitus, and Trouble. They also have a long history of lineup changes and inactivity, including going on hiatus a few times, and Bobby is the only original member for their entire career, excluding the time he was in incarceration. Now, I have very little frame of reference for the band's sound when it comes to their 5-decade career, and to be honest, I'm not about to do a deep dive into their back catalogue just to make a small reference here or there. Instead, I am very familiar with Black Sabbath's early music and their influences on the doom metal genre, and despite the video's title, I do listen to doom metal bands such as Paul Bearer or Stone Jesus, the latter of which I will be seeing live later this year. So that's my credentials out of the way. I guess I am some guy on YouTube who has watched the Bobby video and after having a laugh decided to look into their music, who then found out they had a new album out recently and decided to do a review on it for my series. So let's take a listen. Hey, you don't know me. Now, I think the first thing that sets this band aside from the usual doom metal bands I've heard is their duration of songs. Firstly, there are no long drawn out pieces here, with only one track going over the 5-minute mark. This is very surprising considering the doom metal field. Usually their songs are in excess of 5 minutes, up to sometimes 10, even 15 minutes long. However, this is not the case here. The opening track, Live Again, is a great way to kick things off with its thunderous riff that launches us into this album. There clearly is no f***ing around here as the band laid their hand down on the table for us to see, and what you see is what you're gonna get on here. Big, meaty bass lines, thick sounding riffs, crisp drums, and the raspy vocals of Bobby. I think if you are unsure of how to stand on this album, then the first 60 seconds should tell you whether or not you are going to enjoy it. For me, I'm gonna be sticking around. Another song, I Spoke to Death Last Night, is now an ironic tune considering the events over the last few days, and when you listen to the lyrics of this song, you have to wonder if this is more than just a surface level story, or maybe one that happened for real. I couldn't say I really enjoyed this tune, to be honest. It was fine, but not really amazing. Just something about this song just never really clicked with me. Lady Heroine is the only long song on here and certainly does feel longer than its 5.5-minute runtime, with its slow-paced, sludgy riffs, which, despite having some massive distorted resonance, does still retain a space rock kind of vibe, and perhaps purposefully given the subject matter. It is certainly an interesting piece nonetheless. Now, if Thundercrest doesn't get your adrenaline pumping blood in your veins, then I don't know what can. This is another hard hitter, and I would suggest that you don't skip this piece. But let's admit it, you won't. You cannot do so. It's physically impossible. Thundercrest. The music on hand certainly does contain a tone of that doom metal genre in certain sections, but it is more aligned with a hard rock sounding kind of energy in many tunes, which is a vastly different comparison to what I was really expecting approaching this album, and it's kind of refreshing in a way. My expectations were subverted, and it feels like I'm listening to music that was written by Black Sabbath if Ted Nugent was the guitarist instead of Tony Iommi. Also, despite Bobby looking around the same age as Hawkwind's Dave Brock, and even bearing a striking resemblance between the two, his voice still sounds rather solid and still powerful for a man who is pushing into his 70s, or at least for most of the part, as he does show signs of strain on the title track, which is clearly outside of his desired registry. Overall, I'm going to give this album a score of 7 million chilies on the spicy scale, with my favourite songs being Live Again, Thundercrest, and Dull Pain. Now, old fans of Pentagram, you shouldn't fret over this newfound meme status of their beloved Bobby, because at the end of the day, this just might cause a new wave of fans to find out about the band, just like myself. And like I said, these guys have some sick riffs, so I'm sure that they will win over anyone who displays a keen interest in what they have to offer. I did hear from Bobby himself in a video that this album is a slight deviation to their usual style, fusing a more hard rock style influence by bands such as Lord Bolton, which I'm sure not many people know of, but it does explain why it subverted my expectations. But disregarding this, it is still an enjoyable effort, while it does retain Doom elements on some track. Instead, I suggest the old guard should open these gates and let the new blood in. After all, we rarely know what we're going to become famous for. Just be happy that the spotlight that is on Bobby right now isn't because of someone saying like Hoktur or the other thing I briefly mentioned at the beginning of this video. I did have a note here saying that I didn't think the video would blow up on some levels compared to other internet videos, and since then this video has gone viral. Hell, I even used it in a meme. But at the end of the day, you gotta roll with the punches and admit it's pretty funny, even if this has been part of his look that has been going on for decades. Perfect timing, I guess, but let the new fans come in and enjoy the music at the end of the day. After all, Pentagram has a lot to offer them. As always, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this record. Make sure to comment below and tell me your favourite tracks. And don't forget to listen to this album for yourself. Make sure you have a great day and stay spicy out there. If you've enjoyed this content, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to us, and stay notified for future music related content because it keeps our manager happy at the end of the day. We are also on Discord, Instagram, Facebook, and all those other social platforms if you want to check us out. As always, people, you have a great day and stay spicy.